Hello, and thank you. Welcome to today's event, Infor CSD, tailored for a competitive edge. Why Infor is winning over NetSuite. I'm Action Industry Marketing Specialist Jason Naxted. And at the end of the presentation today, we'll have time to answer any of your questions. And as always, this will be recorded. So if there's something you think we may have missed, you can always go ahead and watch it online on our YouTube channel, view our landing page, which I will show you how to get there at the end of the presentation, or reach out to Action for to schedule a demo for yourself. Today's we'll discuss if you have a single warehouse or large multinational distribution network, Infor and Action has solutions that fit your needs and provide solutions that address your challenges and increase your ability to offer and perform essential value-added services. Today's presenter, Mr. Rob Dallas, Senior Distribution Solutions Consultant himself, 30 plus years working with Infor distribution products, 15 plus years as solutions consultant with SXE, CloudSuite, and distribution products. He'll be leading our presentation today and guiding you through the demo. So Rob, go ahead and take it away, sir.
Thanks, Jason. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the time with us today to take this quick look at CloudSuite Distribution, also known as CSD. As far as our agenda goes today, again, we're going to talk a little bit about one versus the other, CloudSuite Distribution versus NetSuite. Then a little bit about the Infor Distribution ERP solution. Then I'll have time for about a 10 to 15 minute demo, a few additional slides about the Action partner who Jason and I represent. And then, as he mentioned, there will be time for Q&A. So please enter any questions that you may have into the panel on your screen, and we will get those addressed at the conclusion. So just first off, before we begin, if you weren't aware, Infor is the author or manufacturer of CloudSuite Distribution. They're the software vendor. They are now the third largest ERP software company in the world. You can see their strong micro-vertical positions over on the left within different industries. But I think what's always important to note when I talk about the size of Infor is that they're really stressing and striving to be leaders in technology and innovation. So not only deep distribution functionality that we're going to point out and I'll reference, because this system was built from the ground up for distributors. It's not a cloud-based accounting product that added inventory handling and some distribution functionality after the fact. It was developed in the 80s for distributors, large companies, multiple warehouses, distribution centers, etc. And then all of that functionality has grown over the past 30, 40 years. And then Infor moved that to the cloud. And when they did that, they've obviously added a new browser user interface, but also a layer of technology. And that's what I mean when they were striving to be leaders in technology and innovation. How can people process in their business lives like they're used to doing in their personal lives, right? And leverage technology we're used to having at our fingertips, again, throughout our personal lives itself. So what's missing in NetSuite? When I talk to people and they say, why is CloudSuite Distribution better? And I gave a couple examples, when I just said again, CSD is built from the ground up for distributors. Customer expectations. NetSuite targets the SMBs only and quickly becomes expensive and incohesive as scope and scale grow. So if you're not a small or even in the low end of the medium size distributors, NetSuite can have trouble getting to scale. Distribution specific solution. NetSuite requires partners to develop industry specific insights. Right? Leading WMS, NetSuite requires requires plugins for warehousing and WMS operations. Integration and extensibility. NetSuite extensions are limited to the application marketplace and they lack flexibility to accommodate specific customer requirements, where CSD has a middleware called Ion, which allows us the opportunity and has the tools to connect via BODs or real-time APIs to connect to those outside ancillary systems. So in contrast, CSD offers advanced features, including advanced inventory management. So again, I mentioned distribution center handling, multiple locations, being able to manage the authorized replenishment path at each location. How are we going to replenish that product at that given location? Are we buying it? Are we transferring it from another location? Are we assembling it or making it? Or maybe as part of that assembly process, is it going out to a third party to get serviced and coming back as a new finished item? CSD can handle that. Unified data and operations, again, eliminate data silos with integrated processes for a holistic view of your business. Greater supply chain agility, so real-time visibility and insights to ensure regulatory compliance. Insightful analytics, again, being able to take that data and turn it into useful information. Interactive reporting and dashboards. Improved customer satisfaction, so predictive analytics to more accurately anticipate demand and to meet those expectations to, again, keep your customer service levels as high as possible. So Infor CSD is a recognized cloud ERP for product-centric enterprises, proven capabilities for many vertical industries. So we have cloud suites built for each industry with deep micro-vertical capabilities, allow you to grow at your own pace, industry innovation, not proprietary innovation, and a customer-first culture. So the ERP for product-centric enterprises market continues to transition from on-prem to cloud, and of course, Infor is a leader in that department. So what's included with your subscription to CloudSuite Distribution? This top section here under core capabilities is included with your standard subscription. So all your sales processing, that would include pricing, rebates, quoting, orders, invoicing, etc. Advanced inventory management, which really is the strength of CloudSuite Distribution. So this is all your demand planning, procurement, forecasting. Right? How much to buy, when to buy, and what to buy. Right? Proof of delivery, real-time accounting, all of that is part of your standard subscription and the core capabilities. But as you can imagine, there are many optional capabilities, or I call them extended solutions, that not every distributor needs. So this allows us to price your Infor CSD subscription a la carte. And we can turn on these modules and license them at any time and implement them. Okay, again, so it could be a phased approach as your business evolves and grows. A couple examples of those might be a full-blown WMS system. And we actually have a couple different options, a full-blown tier 1 and more of a basic WMS solution. So we can scan, every touch of inventory to get that improved accuracy. Configure price quote. If you have to configure items to build, think of it as a rules-based configurator. You have a car, what's the model, then it limits the accessories you can get with that car. And when you pick a given accessories, then it narrows down your search results to what those specifics might be. Service and repair and rental, more common these days for distributors to have to expand on the services that they're offering their customers to keep up with online retailers, big box retailers, and CRM to manage your opportunities in your pipeline. And all of this sits on what's called the Infor OS, Infor Operating Services. And this is a level of technology, and it is included. So your subscription is everything in the core capabilities and the Infor OS. So leveraging more of AI, extensibility to being able to enhance the product, even though it's a cloud-based product, we can still do changes to the software. Real-time APIs I mentioned, workflows and alerts, where you define what happens when an event occurs or what happens when an event should have occurred and doesn't. Full-blown document management system that's tightly integrated to CSD, which I'll show you some examples of as we navigate. And all of it sits on Amazon Web Services. So you get obviously the reliability and stability, redundancy, and of course, their security. So let's take a look at a demo. Let me go ahead and jump up to share my screen here. And what you're looking at here is the landing page for CSD. Again, CloudSuite Distribution. Of course, there's a main menu structure. I'm not going to get too much into navigation here in the short time we have. You can have bookmarks where you defined certain things that you use frequently on a daily basis, so you could quickly navigate to those. Or you can type in access codes of functions that you want to get to, and whether you know the access code, or you could type in just part of what you're looking to do, and the system's very intuitive. It's going to help navigate you what you're looking to accomplish. So in this section, I thought we'd walk through a real-life sales scenario where a customer wants to do 3 things with you. They want to ask you about their pricing and if you have the product available. They want to know the status of an order or the quote that you have, and they want to place an order for a few items. So we're going to start by going into the customer pricing inquiry. Now notice, as soon as I click on a field, the system remembers what we've been working with. Okay? So we no longer have to scribble those down on the yellow scratch pad or sticky notes. And lookups are very intuitive as well. You just start typing what you know. Do I know part of the number? Do I know part of their name? Do I want to type in their phone number, a contact name, an address, anything you can give it? We call this an autocomplete or quick look. Same with products, right? Maybe I want a grill. But I have many different grills. I know I want a built-in grill. And now you can see at the top, we're getting hits from items that contain both words I've entered, similar to a Google results. And then below, you'd have items that have either or. And notice you also get to see product availability here. I could have entered in part of the SKU as well, okay? Just like we did with the order number, or the customer number, excuse me. So I'm going to go ahead and select an item. Now, the first thing before we get into some of the detail provided, you're going to notice a nice, pretty picture of a built-in gas grill. And throughout the system, you're going to see in certain areas where you have images incorporated with the screens. But let's say you're somewhere where there's not an image, or you want another document related to this item. Let's just say a spec sheet. Well, let's talk about the integration to Infor document management. And what I haven't mentioned yet is this gray panel over here on the right. It's called the Smart Panel. And it houses what are called our web parts or intelligent widgets. And what this means is wherever you are, whatever you're working with, it is going to provide, so dynamically, it's going to change and provide information related to what you're working on. So I can see what's related to the customer we're working with, but in this case, I want to look at product. And maybe I want to see that spec sheet, and maybe right from doc management, I could email it, or I could pull it up and then email it out of Outlook as well. Or I want to see, again, the product image that's associated with that SKU. And there's things here, notes that might be related to the customer, to the product, are all part of this Smart Panel and these web parts, activities, follow-ups, contacts. You can leave this open or even put it on a secondary monitor if you have one of those environments. But most people keep it collapsed to gain the additional real estate. But just remember, that's more information right at your fingertips. In reviewing the information provided here in this customer pricing inquiry, notice I didn't have to go in and start a quote or an order to give them their pricing or quantity available. I see it here, 113 available units, list price, about $3,700. But this customer's today price is around $3,300. So that's going through all of our contracts and pricing records. Looks like they're getting about a 10% discount. Okay. Now, I could do some manipulation here, some what if type scenarios, different cost plus, list less scenarios if I'm negotiating. And let's say, and of course, different quantities and units of measure would update pricing. But let's say I'm looking at multiple items in between each, I can hit record price. And then when finished, you actually can hit create quote and generate that quote right from this screen. Well, let's say we've given, back to our scenario, we've given them an update on availability and pricing. And now they had a question about an open order quote. So I'm going to jump into order inquiry. And again, if I knew the number, I can enter it. But all of the inquiries have this very powerful advanced search. And now notice by default, and this is by user or groups of users, I have it where 7 fields are enabled right off the start. These are the fields I typically use. One objective that Infor has with CloudSuite Distribution is it keeps screens simple and clean. So we're not going to have 40 fields on a screen. We don't want the system to look complicated or cumbersome. But maybe in our scenario, I do want to enable some additional fields. Maybe the date range that was entered or invoiced. Maybe by product. I don't want to filter out any orders or quotes that have that on there. The reference field. And then transaction type, because maybe I just want to see quotes, or I just want to see returns, or I just want to see orders or invoices. So again, this is just one sales inquiry, but you can get results from all of those different types of documents. And again, due to the underlying technology, it just changed the user experience that I have within this window. And again, I can have save searches by user. Maybe as a sales rep, I want single click access to my open orders, my open quotes, or be able to see it by job or my larger customers. I just quickly want to see their orders because that's what I monitor every day. For our example, I'm just going to use a customer PO. Notice I have multiple hits here. One thing I want you to point out to you is that whenever you see anything blue and underlined, that's a hyperlink, as you may be aware of, that lets us navigate somewhere else. So we can drill down or drill across, in this case, to customer inquiry. And I can see general information about this account, right? Credit, period balances. Also, these sub tabs at the top, maybe because I want to jump quickly over and see receivables by ship to or job. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and drill into this order. Now we see an overview of the order, what stage it's in as it navigates through CloudSuite Distribution. But again, if I want to jump over and look at the line detail, now I can see a grid of all the lines. So all the list views and search results have this grid and has some nice functionality built into it. Remember, any hyperlink I could drill across, so I could jump right in and see information pertaining to this product. I can rearrange these columns in any way that I want, because if you look, there are, in all these grids, there are a ton of columns with different information. And cost and margin, if you have security to access those fields, might be important to you. And maybe for your view, you don't want to have to scroll over, you'll just pull those over next to price. So again, you could personalize the user experience, again, by individual user, for groups of users or role-based, or company-wide, to make them as efficient as possible. Okay. All of the grids can be exported to Excel. They come in nicely formatted with the filtering already pre-established, or even within the grids in CSD themselves, you can turn on filtering. So what that means is maybe I have an 80-line order that I'm working with, and I quickly want to be able to take this order quote and filter out descriptions that contain certain characters or begins with or does not contain, because this customer just wants to know the status of their tap extensions. Well, I was able to consolidate, right, filter those out, consolidate the view to just see those tap extension items on this sales document. And that's in any column in any grid. So you might want to do by product category, your non-stocks, by vendor, whatever it is that you can imagine. Okay. Now let's say in discussing with them, they're reviewing this order, they have another document they want to associate with it. Could be a diagram, a spec sheet, whatever it is. In my example, I'm going to say the customer PO. So I'm going to go back to our smart panel and open up my web parts into document management. Because again, this is fully integrated, so I can attach any digital documents, in this case, to this order. Or it could be to a customer or an item I'm working with. Now I could go ahead and browse out with this paperclip, go out to my network and get a document. Or if I pull up my desktop, right, slide this over here, you can take a, let's say, file, in this case, customer PO, drag and drop it. Now I'm adding it to document management and associating it to what? In this case, the customer that we're working with, and it knows who that is. And then, of course, what is it? How am I filing it? And it's a customer PO. Once I hit upload there, now that document was automatically uploaded. Now anyone working with or editing this sales document would have that immediate access right at their fingertips to, again, spec sheet, drawings, Word files, Excel files, CAD files, PDFs, whatever it might be. Now let's say they want to create a new order. So right here from within order inquiry, I could go ahead again and hit new. I could use the menu, could do an access code. This shows you how easy it is to navigate from one place to the other within CSD. I'm going to go ahead and generate a new order. Within order entry, you really can do multiple document types within this same function. Makes the system easy to learn. So we're going to enter a stock order, but I use the same function to enter a quote or a return or any other types of documents that I may be processing. And commonly you're doing one of four things here. You're generating a new order, editing or maintaining an order, deleting or canceling an order, or copying an order. And that's a very simple tool, but very powerful. You could take an old order for a customer, copy it to a new order. Of course, there's a flag that you can select that updates it with new pricing, or from one ship to another, or from one customer to another. So you could have template orders out there for types of customers and then copy it in. And as part of the copy, it lets you select lines. Again, the system really is built for speed, both in transactional entries and as well as increasing user efficiencies. Notice when I click on the customer field to get started, it remembered here at the top of the list who we've been working with. I'm going to go ahead and workflow forward. The orientation is left to right, so my header or banner is over here on the left. I can also see my running totals, product selections in the middle, and then of course I have my shopping cart or footer over here on the right. There are multiple ways to find and select products, and each user or by user, you set your default preference. And this is how I like to interact as a default, because this is called easy entry. And to me, let's say I type in LED light, This resembles what we're used to doing online, let's say an Amazon or any other consumer grade e-com solution. I get to see product images. I get to see a short description, availability, this customer's today price, going through all of our contracts and pricing. Another thing I like about this, excuse me, interaction or this interface of easy entry is maybe there's multiple items that you hit that your customer's interested in. You can set the quantities of multiple items, and with one single action, add all 3 of those items to the order. Now, if I wanted to, I could hit finish and get out of the order immediately. Again, built for speed. I can enter an order in 2, 3, maybe 4 seconds. Let's say the customer wants to buy something they purchased in the past. So we're going to do some additional functionality. We're going to pivot over to shopping entry. And in this case, what do we want to shop from? It's past sales. So we enter in the time period, right? That's for any time period. It could be last 6 months, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, whatever it is. You have history saved for. And the system's going to provide a simple list of everything the customer has purchased during that time period. Right? So each item listed once, I see availability, current pricing, last purchase date, last price. Quantity recommended is the last quantity they purchased from you. Gives you the opportunity to upsell. And again, a ton more information that you could move over here to the left if needed. I could do a search to find the item I'm interested in. We could use filtering as we talked about. But what makes this grid unique is it's actually an order pad. So as you find the items you're interested in using your mouse, or I can use my carriage return and arrow keys, you simply go through, set the quantities that they're interested in. And again, with one single action, I can add all 3 of those items to my order. Another entry method that you might be used to is advanced. This probably looks more familiar to you, where I could do a stock line entry, non-stock, or special order. Again, very simple screen, but there's a much more information over here on extended view. In any of these fields, such as cost or discount you might want, you could pull those over down here on this first screen. Of course, adding items, I could just type in the SKU number that I'm looking for, as we mentioned. If I just hit carriage return, it adds a line item of 1. I could type in what I'm looking for, just like we did in the inquiries, select my item. And again, maybe I want to tab over and enter a quantity of 3 this time. And when this item's added to the order, notice what happened here. It's been set up with options or accessories. So now you have the opportunity to upsell, to offer the customers, do you need any rollers, hardware, belting? So again, very quickly and easily, I could add this item, set the quantity, add this other item. Maybe I'll leave that as 10 feet. Once you hit submit, now those items were automatically added to the order. You could at any point review the taxes and totals. Again, you can manually manage your tax jurisdictions, or there's an integration to sales tax solutions like Avalara, or you could collect payment, maybe a percentage or dollar amount that you want to have as a deposit on the order. And then you can have multiple payment types, fully integrated payment types, fully integrated credit card system, meets all the latest federal PCI requirements. Right, so it's tokenized, so none of the credit card processing is actually done in your system. Or, of course, you could just hit finish. It'll go through any rules you have, obviously credit limit, maybe margin tolerances for that user that was discounting goods. And then, of course, then it gets added in. Okay, we covered a lot there in the time we have, but I want to make sure I save a little time here. Let me stop sharing my screen. A few more slides and then time for some questions if we have them. So, in summary, Infor is very distribution focused, and this is their flagship distribution product. I touched on some of the depths and how it's designed from the ground up for distributors, and it's where they're investing all of their dollars for new distribution functionality, as well as innovation and technology. Jason and I work for Action Associates. We are Infor's largest partner. We've won 25-year running gold partner, won their Circle of Excellence award, supporting over 700 of their customers with expertise in distribution like manufacturing, warehousing, and e-com. Over 225 employees across the country. So we're able to offer standard support from 8 a.m. Eastern to 5 p.m. Pacific time. But not only ERP support, we also have many other IT offerings at Action. So it's our goal to be the one-stop shop for anything that you may need. Okay, Jason, with that, I think I saved you a few minutes here. I'll go ahead and throw it back to you. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, thanks. I think right now we got all our questions answered, or at least people are still taking notes. So thank you for everyone's time and, hanging out with us today. If you do have questions or there's anything you want to know about Action or the Infor CloudSuite solution, you can head over to our handy dandy landing page for distributors. You can, if you have your mobile device handy, go ahead and scan that QR code. That'll take you to our landing page, resources, upcoming events we're having, and ways to get in contact with the Action team to schedule a demo for yourself for the Infor CloudSuite distribution solution. So I'm Jason Naxted, Action Industry Marketing Specialist. Along with me, as always, Mr. Rob Dallas. You can reach out to him at his email, rdallas@action.com. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your very busy day to hang out with us on this cold Wednesday in Ohio. We very much appreciate it. Keep in mind for your emails, we'll be sending you updates on upcoming events we'll be having for this incredible solution for distributors. So make sure you pay attention to that. Subscribe to our emails as well. So Rob, thank you for presenting today. Thank you, everyone, for taking time out of your day, and we will see you next time. Have a nice day, everyone.
Thank you. Take care.